Hi everyone. This is the chapter that we're doing this week is called percentages. All right. So it's on page 101 of your book, and I'm just going to talk you through the first page now. So percent, anything with cent in it means 100, as I've told you before. And so if you think of century, that means 100 years, for example. And then so it means out of 100. Percent means out of 100 or per 100. Okay, so we're just going to look quickly here at question 1. So question 1 here is 100 square. So it's out of 100. And it says write the fraction and percentage of each colored amount. So just for instance, now we look at green here. So green says it's 10 out of 100. So therefore it's 10%. All right, let's look at the red one. Let's go over and count how many there is. So there's 10, 20, 30. 30, 10, 20, 30. 30. So red is 30 out of 100. So that's our fraction. And then to write it as a percentage, we write 30%. Now this is the sign to show percent. It's got a line and 2 dots. Percent, which means out of 100. Let's look at the next question. Or we'll look at B, sorry. So B is the blue. So let's go over here now and count how many blue squares we have. So we know that in each long line there's 10. So let's see, we have 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. So for blue, we have 50 squares out of 100. Okay, so what's that then in percentages? It's out of 100, so it's just 50%. So this symbol here shows us that we're talking about percentages. So it's just another way, percentages is just another way to show the division of a unit. Okay, so like fractions, the way we use decimals, the way we use fractions, percentages is the same. It's just another way of showing us. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to let you work away on that question and see how you get on. And you can come back to me then. You can stop this video and then come back to me, and I'm going to talk to you about question 2. So here we are. We're going to talk about question 2. So here it says, change these hundredths to percentages. So again, if you look at question A, it's 9 out of 100. So it's just practice again of what you've actually learned. So 9 out of 100 is actually 9%. All right. All right. Then we'll look at B. B is 47 out of 100. So again, this is just practice. What is it? 47%. That's easy because your fraction that you're dealing with is 100. Now, hundredths. So now you can stop and do that sum and then come back to me if you want to look at this part. Okay, so we're looking at question 3 now. Question 3 says change tenths to percentages. So first change to hundredths. So here we go. If you have another type of fraction other than hundredths, you always have to change it into the hundredths to make it into a percentage. All right. So for instance, guys, if we have something like green, we're looking at back at our thing again. So green there, we know that there's 10 squares going down and another 10. So we've 2/10, we'll say, right? 2/10. Okay, so that's the fraction there. Now we need to change that fraction into hundreds. So this is, we're looking at the one for green, okay? So we have to change this fraction into hundreds, tenths into hundreds. So we know from doing our fractions before that whatever we do to the bottom of the fraction, we must do to the top. So first of all, what would I multiply this number by 10 to get to 100? So multiply by 10. 10 multiplied by 10 equals 100. Okay, so that's the first part done. Now, let's think, what if we do it to the bottom of the fraction, we must also do it to the top fraction. So on the top, we're going to multiply 2 by 10 because that's what we multiplied the bottom by. So 2 multiplied by 10 equals 20. So that is what 2 tenths is when we make it into hundredths. It's 20 hundredths. Now, and below this, now we can easily turn this into percentage. So 20 multiplied by 100 equals 20%. All right? Okay, so I'll do one more of those just so you know. So this is question B, which is yellow. So let's go over and we'll count our yellows. So we have 1 column, 2 columns, 3 columns. So that's 3 tenths. Okay, so here's our 3 tenths. What are we going to do to turn it into hundredths? So here we go. We're going to multiply it by something. So our 10, we're going to multiply by what to make it into 100? Exactly, we're going to multiply it by 10. 10 multiplied by 10 equals 100. So what we do to the bottom, we must also do to the top of the fraction. So now we're going to multiply 3 by 10 and we end up with 30. Now we can turn 30 over 100 into 30%. So I would suggest everybody to work away on that question and then come back to me for question 4. So stop me if you can, stop the video, and you can come back to me then and we'll do question 4. So now I'm going to look at question 4. So here we have different fractions and we're going to turn them into percentages. So basically they're just mixing them up a little bit. You have 9 hundredths, for example. B is 5 tenths. Some you have to do some work to, some you don't really have to do a whole lot of work to. So let's just have a look. So here we have 9 hundredths. So we know that percent is out of 100 or per 100. So we know the answer to that is just 9%. However, with this one, we're going to have to change it. We have to make it, because it's 5 tenths, we have to make it to hundredths. So we need to multiply it by a number that will get it to 100. So here in the bottom, so 10 multiplied by 10 equals 100. 5 multiplied by 10 equals 50. Okay, this one, do we have to do anything to that? No, because it's out of 100. All we need to do is write that it's 23%. Sorry, I meant to write up there. That's 50% up there. All right. So work away on question 4 in that. And then on question 5, what they're asking you to do is to put each of these groups in order starting with the smallest amount. So in order to find out the smallest amount when they give you different types, is you have to work them all out into percentages. That's the easiest way. So let's look. In A, we have 9%, we have 99 over 100, and we have 9 tenths. Okay, so let's look at those. So this one is easy. We know what it is. It's 9%. How are we going to turn this into percentage? Well, we know it's percent per 100. So we don't have to do anything to that except put a percentage sign behind it. The 9 tenths, we have to work out a little bit more. So 9 over 10, we have to make it up make it to 100. So 10 multiplied by 10 equals 100. And what we do to the bottom, we must always do to the top. So now we're going to multiply 9 multiplied by 10 equals 90. So the percentage that we have here is 90%. All right. So up here we have 90%. Now we have our 3 in percentage form, our three numbers. So what we're going to do now is we're going to order them from the smallest to the largest. Right, so here we have 9 is the smallest, obviously, and then what comes next? 90%, and then the other one is 99. So this is how you would write your answer: 9, 90, and 99. So that is your answer, starting from the smallest to the largest. Now, so if you want to work away and do that and stop the video, otherwise come back to me and we're going to do question 6. So these children are watching the box sets they got for Christmas. What percentage have they still to watch if they've already viewed the following amounts? Oh, interesting. This is where we know what we find the percentage of what they've watched, and then we take it away from a full amount, which is 100%. Okay, so remember, it's always out of 100, so 100% is your full amount. Okay, so Lucy has watched 7 tenths. So here you go, Lucy. You've watched 7/10 of a program. Let's find out what percentage she's watched. So we multiply 10 by 10 to make it into 100. Then we have here, if we do it to the bottom, we must do it to the top. So 7 multiplied by 10 equals 70. 70 out of 100 is 70%. So if I had 70% watched and it's out of 100%, how would I find out what that is? I would take 100% minus 70% equals, so 100 to take away 70 equals 30%. So that is my answer there. She has to watch 30% more of the program. Let's just look at B as well, just to be totally sure. Dara is halfway through his. Oh my gosh. So Dara, they're giving us a different type of fraction to change into 100. Okay, so here we go. 1/2. How do I change 1/2 into a percentage? Right, so again, we know that we have to make it the bottom half up to 100. We have to make it into hundredths as a fraction. So let's look. We multiply it by, what do we multiply 2 by to get to 100? We multiply it by 50. So multiply by 50 gives us 100. Now what we do to the bottom, we must do to the top. So 1 multiplied by 50 equals 50. So 1/2 is also known as 50 over 100 or 50%. So he's watched 50%, right? Dara, I mean. So 100% minus 50% equals 50%. All right. So that's how you find your answer. You take it from 100%. But in this one, they give you halves. They're going to give you some hundredths and some tenths. But that's basically, you'll be able to manage that. So listen, good luck with that. See how you get on. Talk to you soon.